Hey, what's up guys, Strict here, and today I want to be showing you this pretty cool mod that I was able to create. And it basically just adds a bunch of startup chimes and door chimes and stuff like that to all of the default vehicles in BeamNG, as well as I will be leaving a template that's going to be available so that if you yourself are a vehicle mod developer and you want to add chimes to your own new vehicle, I think it would be great to see more mod developers start to implement this into their mods, especially as many of them try to make their vehicles as realistic as possible. So I think it would be a really cool feature to start to see, and I hope that this template can honestly make it easier for people to start doing that. Alright, we're going to start with some functionalities. I'm just going to start with just the simple D series. This one isn't too special, just kind of has one sound to it, but here we go. So there you go, add just a simple startup chime and nothing different when the door opens. Besides the fact you can hear it is a bit faster, also works for the hood being popped open. And it is configurable so that if you don't want it to go off with the tailgate open, as you can see it doesn't go off with the tailgate open. Yeah, you know, I can never actually say this car's name, so moving on to the Charrier. This vehicle actually has two different sounds in it, so we're going to go and hop inside. So there we have the startup chime, and then when we go and open up the door, it has a different sound. And that is something that is pretty easy to configure within the files, as I will be showing later on for any mod developers interested. And then on here with the SUV, this one was actually programmed to have a separate chime at the very end, very similar to how older Ford vehicles would. I kind of based this one off of a Ford. Alright, so now over here in the Bastion, I'm going to go ahead and show off a couple of additional features that some are optional, some are just included with the mod. So ones that are by default included are if you put the vehicle in accessory only and open up the door. Obviously no chime, but if you turn on the headlights just like a real car, it's gonna yell at you. Unfortunately, in ignition off, there's no way to configure that, so it is set to accessory mode. But when you turn off the lights, there you go. Alright, so this is something that specifically I know Dodge vehicles do, but I did kind of integrate it into a couple of the other ones. So basically, say you put the car in drive and you start going, and then you open up the door and it puts a parking brake on. Now it only does that until you go above 10 miles an hour, and then once you're above 10 it will no longer do that. That is actually a real feature in Dodge vehicles. It literally slams your car in the park, so yeah, I thought that would be a little fun to add in. Alright, an additional feature that I somehow forgot to mention was when driving, if you apply the parking brake, you'll get a constant chime until you let go of the parking brake, or until you get off of the gas pedal. Additionally, another small feature that I've added is a low fuel light. So there we go. Alright, so there you go. As you can see, when the fuel hit low, the light came on, and it also played a little chime. So I do want to add some other functionality eventually. It'll come in later updates, where when the engine brakes, there will be a sound. When the engine overheats, there will be a sound. Right now, when wheels completely break off, it plays a sound. but I want it to obviously be when a tire goes flat in comparison to literally falling off, which should be able to demonstrate that. Go to break it. So, I mean, you can hear the regular door chime now, but you could hear in there for a split second there was that other warning that played when the gas came on. So yeah, there will certainly be updates to this in the future. I will certainly appreciate any community help when it comes to adding certain functionalities, such as like the check engine light, the tires going flat, overheating, all that good stuff. Because I did make attempts, and you know, I kind of got somewhere, but you know, if anyone has any better ideas, I will absolutely take them, and I will give credit to anyone who wants to help out with this project. Alright, what's up guys? So at this point in this video, I'm going to be showing you the developer side of it, how you can kind of make these things and make it work for your own vehicle. So I'm also going to start off with the sound file here. I'm going to show you guys kind of how you need to edit it down. So the way I do it is I hop in the Audacity, and then you just want to grab like the first second of the sound. So this whole file sounds like that. But really, to get the best results, you only want like the first second of sound. So this is, that's one whole like use of the chime. So we'll go ahead and take that. If it sounds like it's clipping at the very end, just take a little bit off the end of it. And then there you go, there's your whole sound. And you're going to want to export it. Make sure that it's a WAV file. And then you just kind of want to name it like this. Capitalization doesn't necessarily matter, it's just up to your preference. So name it something like that. It should have your vehicle name at the front, because if it's just like a basic sound like name, if it's just a basic name, then it may interfere with other vehicles either made by other people, or you know, maybe if you use the same files across different vehicles, it'll interfere. So make sure it has its own little path, and then just export it. Alright, so now that I showed you guys how to make your sound file, let's go ahead and get into the template here. So I'm going to just do this in the unpacked folder and make a video sample. And in our template, so we're going to make the vehicles folder. Now since I didn't actually create anything for the Covet, I'm going to use the Covet as an example. And then back in our main directory, we'll drag over the art folder. And then in here it's going to be a chime off file. I'm honestly just going to leave it in there, but let's create the Covet folder. And then that Covet, or your vehicle name folder, is where you're going to bring in your chime on. And there you go, that's now in there. Alright, back under vehicles, and make a Lua folder inside of your vehicle directory. And then in there, there's going to be our Luas. So I'm going to pull over the ignition chime, which is going to be your startup chime. I'm just going to grab the regular door chime. The auto park is going to be the one that I demonstrated on the Bastion, where when you open up the door, it'll chime, but if you're driving under 10 miles an hour, it'll throw on the parking brake and stop the vehicle. Don't use both Luas. If you want the auto park feature, just drag this one over. If you don't want the auto park, just use this one. And then we're going to bring over the fuel and tire chime. Even though this is still a work in progress, I'll just show it off for the sake of doing it. So then there we go. Should be everything that we need from the template. So let's go ahead and start with the door chime. So in here, we're going to start right up here in the door section. So since the Covet is a coupe, we're going to remove the checks for the back doors, and we're going to make it only be left and right. It does have a tailgate, so I'm going to leave this one in here, and we will remove the trunk. Or that comment can stay there. So it'll just be the tailgate. If you have a vehicle such as like the ETK 800, where it has a hatchback model and a sedan model, you will want to leave both tailgate and trunk in there, because then depending on what the vehicle has, it will use the right thing. Up here we have volume and the duration, which will change the speed. We will go over that when we're configuring it in game. So then down here, we're going to change this to be the file name that we created. And then down here, we're going to want to set the directory to be hatch, not hatch covert. That's the old name for the covert. Rename that. Alright. So now with all that done, let's go in game. Control R to reload the vehicle. That will get your Lua script to load it up. Go into the interior and let's open the door. And there you go. As you can hear, it is currently playing. It does sound very quiet, so let's turn it up to like 4. Reload. And there we go. It is much louder now. So let's say that's too slow for you and you want it faster. I do like to use decimal points. I did that quite a bit in the configurations for the actual vehicles, so let's try 0.5 and see what that sounds like. So I mean, as you can see, it did work. It is faster. It's just a bit iffy with this one because of the fact of it's kind of like a whole 1 second sound. So I mean, it can be modified, but yeah, this one's a bit difficult. So there's that. That is how you will do the door chime. Let's go to the ignition chime now. And as you can see, down here is where all of the sounds are going to be. So this is actually where you can configure it differently. Say if you want a different door chime, but you want the ignition chime that we were just using. So we'll set this to hatch. Alright. So yeah, we'll go ahead and set that to hatch. And then we gotta bring up the volume, and let's have it play. Yeah, 4 times is fine. So let's go and reload the car, and we will go ahead and start it up. And there you go. There it played 4 times. Say if we only wanted it to be 2, we can change that to 2. And now, there we go, it was only 2. And then let's say we want to go to the door chime, and let's say, I don't know, I'll just use the pickup truck, for example. So you'll want to change the directory to be where the sound is located. I'm gonna hope that this will work. Might not. Okay, so there we go. Different door chime. And different startup chime. So while we're talking about the switching around of sounds and using 2 different sound files for, like, say your door open chime and the startup, I'm gonna go and show you the setup for the Charrier. So this is basically how it looks. You're going to have a separate file for the door, and you're going to have a separate file for the ignition. So there's your startup, and there's your door. So you're obviously going to just want to have them in there, make sure you know what they're named, and then you're going to just input these names into your Lua files. This section, we're going to want this to match the door section. Yeah, that now matches the doors. And then here's the alternative chime section. So we'll go ahead and remove the comment from that. And let's just say, let's get the alright. So then, just to check out that alternative chime. So there we go. That was the alternative chime. That's completely optional. Like I said, I kind of used it to mimic the realism of like a Ford turning on, but obviously, you know, you can use it however you want. Let's go to the last one, which is going to be the fuel and tire. So this is obviously going to be very simple. This one is just 2 files that can be changed. So this one is for the fuel chime and the tire chime. If you wanted to have 2 different sounds, you can. Like I said, this one is work in progress, so if you want to make any edits, add things, do whatever, feel free. And if you want to share it with me, go ahead and post it on the BeamNG forum that is associated with the original mod. Alright, so let's go ahead and do the hatch. So there we go. That should be that functioning now. Now the best way that I do to test this is I'm going to be just gotta find the threshold right before low fuel. Let's do 4.5. Alright, and there we go. That took a very long time to drive in. But as you can see, the light turned on and the sound played. I think I managed to crash this thing. Okay, not that bad. So yeah, there we go. That is how you can configure these scripts to work for your own vehicles, and basically all of the flexible features it has. So yeah. I hope this video was helpful to anyone who was looking to use any of these files, and I hope to hopefully see this integrated into more mods. I definitely encourage it. So, hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you all in the next video.